Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, so let's talk about Swiss-only dials and Swiss-made dials. First of all, Swiss-only dials, what are they? Most of you know, but if you don't, they're the late U serials, early A serials. So around the end of 1997, the U serials changed over from tritium to Luminova, and at the 6, it just says Swiss, and that marks it as a Luminova dial. And then the U serials transitioned into the A serials, and those early A serials can be Swiss-made dials. And then they started making the late A serials with the Swiss-made dials. Now, Swiss-only dials, Swiss-made dials, both of them have the Luminova, all right? And from what I gather, the material is the very same thing. I think the difference is the company that was producing it. By the way, if you know the details on this, throw a comment in the comments section. I'll pin it, I'll give it a heart. You'll get my undying respect. But from what I gather, it's the same stuff. So hopefully you've seen my video on tritium, link in the description if you haven't. But Luminova, of course, you can charge it up, it glows, it is not radioactive, and it doesn't patina, and that can be a good thing or a bad thing if you like patina on a watch. So the big question is, are Swiss dials going to be worth a lot of money, all right? And that really depends on who you ask, but I'll give you my take on it. Now, they made tritium for a long time, and then 1998 was the year they had the Swiss-only dials, and from about, I guess, 1999 on, that's when they had the Swiss-made dials. So it's just about 1 year of the Swiss dials, and for that reason, a lot of people think they are collectible. And this is a relatively new thing because 5 years ago, they weren't going for any more, and I can't say they're going for any more now, but 5 years ago, I was avoiding them, which is crazy, but I guess it's not crazy. I just wanted sort of a, quote, normal Rolex. And if you're just getting into Rolex watches, anomalies scare you. You just want something normal. If you're going for tritium, if you're going for the Luminova Swiss-made. But I used to avoid the Swiss-only dials just because I thought they were weird. I don't know. I wanted Swiss-made because it was just more normal. All right. But if you're looking for those anomalies, and those anomalies, many people think are going to be what makes the future 5-digit pre-ceramics just a little bit more collectible than their non-anomalous brethren, then yeah, you might look at Swiss-only dials as something you might want to think about. Now, it's starting to change in the sense that you see advertisements and listings for watches with Swiss-only dials. So retailers are starting to put it out there that their watch is like that. And for that reason, people are starting to drink the Kool-Aid, and that really is what it is. I mean, does one lack of a word make any difference? No, unless you think it does. But whether you think it does makes a huge difference. I mean, think about the price of a B&R retail versus what they go for on the gray market. This is a difference of like 20,000 USD. Even Rolex thinks they're worth about 10,000, but the market value, it's about 30,000. By the way, I think that's kind of interesting. The only ones thinking that a B&R is worth just 10,000 is Rolex itself, the company that makes them. We're all walking around thinking, nope, that's a $30,000 watch. So should we trust the market and ourselves and the gray market, or what Rolex says? Well, I don't know, it's kind of an interesting question, but it's sort of beside the point. What I'm getting at is that it's all in the mind, and being all in the mind is a Swiss-only dial watch right now, here in 2022, worth more. Now, I'm a bit biased because I just bought one, and so, you know, I think they're kind of special, and I think they're kind of cool, and I sort of wanted to get my foot in the door now as opposed to 10 years from now. So it really depends on if people drink the Kool-Aid. That's really what it's all about. And as you can imagine, I guess I have. As Rolexes become more and more collectible, and I think they are becoming more collectible, more people are turning on to the new ones, and look at what the new watches are doing, and it really pumps the prices of the older watches. Then people look for the ones with the edge, the pieces with the edge, and those are the anomalous ones. the Swiss-only dial Rolexes, the thin frame Explorer 2s, the stick dial GMT Master 2s, the frog-footed 14060s. So, well, frog-footed, I prefer to call them the tiara coronet. Anyway, that's a little bit about the Swiss-only dials. Now, is there any drawback? Well, if you go for a Swiss-only dial, then it's going to have a hollow in-link bracelet, and that's not ideal. The solid in-link bracelets are better, and that's for another video because Tyler, who commissioned this video, wants to know about those. So let me just say that if you get a Swiss-only dial, it's going to come from 1998, and that's still when they were producing the bracelets with the hollow in-links. All right, so that's a drawback. Unless you go for a 16600 Sea Dweller, they started doing the solid in-link bracelets right from the get-go. So even the tritium ones have the more quality, solid in-link bracelet. But if you're looking to use your watch, perhaps having a Swiss-only dial would be a little bit dangerous. And here's why. Because if you're looking to use your watch and you're facing water breach, it's a big deal, period, but it's much less of a big deal if you have a Swiss-made dial. Why? Because you go to Rolex and you can get a replacement dial. And I'm not sure, depending on the model, if the dial is going to look different, if it's going to look like a service dial, if it's going to scream service dial. If so, that's not a good thing. But if it doesn't, then your replacement dial is not going to scream new dial, replacement dial. If you have a Swiss-only dial and you get water breach and you take it to Rolex, you're screwed. You're going to get a service dial. It's going to say Swiss made. So if you have an A serial, maybe it's not that big of a deal because it's just going to look like the later A serial. But if you have a U serial, it's going to be off because U serials have to be tritium or Swiss only. All right, so that's a disaster. And there you go. That's I guess the disaster. So if you get water breach, you probably want to have a Swiss-made dial. Okay, if that makes any sense. Let me know what you think about Swiss-only dials. I think they're really cool. Will they go up in the future? I think so, probably. Should they? Not really, but we're all crazy, so they probably will. I really like mine. I think they're kind of interesting. I love, all Rolexes, but having one a little bit anomalous, kind of cool. And let me know what you think about those. Swiss-made dials, there's nothing else to say. They just started making those from around 1999 on. Let me know what you think. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you next time.